Hi everybody, Alex Deployer from Expert Forex, and in this short video I'm going to show you how the weekend gap EA works and what kind of results you can expect from it, what kind of financial returns you can make, and also some extended testing information. So let's jump right into it. On your screen you'll see a chart showing trades that were taken in the last 2 months. And I'm going to run through those trades with you to give you a feel of what this EA does. So let's go back to the 15th of May, and I'm going to just increase the size of the actual chart to give more detail. So here's the first trade. On Friday, the market closed at that particular level where my cursor is, and on Monday morning it opened a little bit lower than the close. Immediately the EA entered a deal, and you can see the stop was calculated to be there, the target to be there, and the target was very quickly reached when the gap was closed. The settings for how much of the closure of the gap you want to use as a target and how much of the gap you want to use as a stop are optional settings in the EA, so those can vary. So that's a very simple example of the first trade. So let's move on to the next weekend. Okay, and here we have the next weekend, and as you can see there was no trade because the market closed at that level, opened at level, and the gap was too small for the EA to activate. So you can tell the EA not to trade if the gaps are too small, which is probably not such a bad idea. So let's move on to the next trade. Okay, here's the next trade. The market closed up there on the Friday, opened over here, and here we've got an example of a failed transaction. In other words, the stop was hit a little bit later on in the day. By the way, we don't trade time frames when using this system because it is price level based. You can trade any chart you want to. I'm just using a 30-minute chart because it shows and displays better, but you can trade any particular chart. So here's an example of a failed transaction. So it does have failures. So let's move on to the next one. So we've had one transaction that didn't take place, and a failed transaction and a successful transaction. So here's the next one, which again, here's the close on the Friday. There's the open on the Monday. There's the stop, there's the target, and the price hit the target soon after the open. Okay, and here's a much more substantial deal. The close on the Friday was up here. The open was right down here, and it took quite a long time for the price to reach the target level, which it did, and this was a nice big successful deal. Now again, the targets and the stops are a percentage of the gap size, so that's why we don't work with pips but a percentage of the gap size, which translates to pips at some stage. And here's another example of a successful trade. Here is the Friday closure. There's the Monday opening. You can see the price went all over the show and then eventually closed the gap. Not too much later in the UK session, the gap was closed. Another nice big gap here, and in this case it took quite a long time to close. Here you can see it took a few days, in fact, to close this particular gap. But there's the trade, there's the close on the Friday, there's the open on the Monday morning. It did go back and then slowly closed the gap. So let's move on to the next transaction. I think you're getting a feel of what this EA is capable of and what it does. Here's another transaction, and I'm going to just reduce the size of this particular chart to give you an idea, because this took almost a week to close this gap. There's the close on the Friday. Down it went. It opened over there on the Monday and took a full week to get to the closure level. You can see it just missed on the Monday, just missed the closure level, possibly by a couple of pips. But eventually it then went away and came back and hit the target. Close on the Friday, open on the Monday, and then the gap was closed later on in that particular Monday. So this is the last transaction on this particular chart. I failed to mention this is a chart of the euro-yen. Over this period, the euro was particularly volatile. That's why there were quite nice big gaps. And just a warning that obviously you have to trade at times when the currencies are more inclined to gap. And we had a nice gapping situation over the last 2 months. Many of these gaps are unpredictable, so it is best to just trade this method every weekend, just in case there are gaps. So let's have a quick look at the actual results on the trading account. As you can see, there's the positive, there's that negative deal that we saw, and there are the positive deals that came through, and the account grew from $1,000 to $7,100 over that period, trading 1 lot per transaction. Okay, when we did this run, we had a look and said, oh, well, maybe we were lucky. We actually caught the optimized setting for this particular currency. Let's test a few other settings. So what we did is we went and tested almost 1,000 alternative settings. And in fact, this particular test is still running. As you can see, the total test is 990 items, and it is still running. But we can start looking at some of the results. So let's click on that, and here are the results that have come through. Remember, the top result was 6,000. I'm going to just sort the profits. That is the lowest result. So if you put $1,000 down and traded this technique using up to 1,000 settings, your lowest result would have still been $3,000 profit. The best result at the moment, the testing is still happening, is 6,186, which is slightly higher than achieved in the particular run that I showed you. So what this is saying is that if we can be profitable, highly profitable, with 1,000 alternative settings, then surely this EA is quite robust. I hope this video has given you a good feel of the simplicity, and yet at the same time it shows how powerful the financial results can be from trading this particular system. Why the financial results are so good is that you can use a small account because of the high success rate of this particular way of trading. There will be more videos in this series showing more details about finding settings for the various currencies to be traded. Before I close this video, I see our testing results are almost finished. There's only 2 more runs to go, and I'll just quickly see the results. And there we go. All right, so of the 990 items tested, let's go and have a look at the results. Yeah, the worst result is $3,240 profit, and the best result is $6,186. That's based on an account of $1,000. I will post these results on the website for you to study in more detail, and I hope you found this video interesting. From me, Alex Deploy, cheerio.